All right, if we can all please find our seats out there, let's go ahead and call this Pompano Beach City Commission meeting to order on October 22nd, 2024. If I could ask everyone here and in the audience to please silence their cell phone or put it on vibrate during the meeting. That way we won't be disrupted when somebody gets a telephone call. It happens quite frequently, so please just put them on vibrate or just turn them off, either way. We can be out of contact for a short time. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier.
Here.
Commissioner Moss.
Here.
Commissioner Perkins.
Here.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Here.
Vice Mayor McGee.
Here.
Mayor Harden.
Here, thank you. Our invocation this evening will be given by Elder Harold Wesley of the Newborn Holiness Church. If we could all please rise now for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, Pastor.
Let us bow our heads. All wise and eternal God, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our calling, for the substance, and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. In this scripture, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those various authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our Mayor Rex Harden, the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them a sense of welfare and true needs of your people. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them a keen thirst for justice and righteousness. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them confidence in what is good and fitting. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda that is set before them this afternoon. Please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Pompano Beach, Florida. These and all of the blessing we ask in the name of the Father, Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Pledge
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Can I get a motion approving the regular City Commission meeting minutes of October the 8th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. On our agenda this evening, the only change I have is we're actually adding another proclamation for Florida City Government Week. So we'll be adding that proclamation immediately following the printed proclamation. Are there any other changes to our agenda, Mr. Bosworth?
No, sir.
Very good. Can I get a motion approving the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. On our consent agenda this evening, we have no items have been pulled, so all items on the consent agenda are eligible for discussion during audience to be heard. Well, very good. All right, that takes us up to our proclamations. Our first one is a proclamation presentation to the Horbiger Corporation of America. A lot of people may not realize it, but we've got a lot of nice-sized companies here in the city of Pompano Beach, and we got one a proclamation today for their distinguished recognition by the South Florida Manufacturers Association. Mr. Eric Drydahl, who heads the Horbiger Corporation of America and is responsible for the North America region, will accept the proclamation on behalf of the Horbiger Corporation of America. I apologize for destroying the names. Mr. Micah Dougherty, a business advisor for South Florida Manufacturers Association, will also be present. And we also have representatives from the Jokel Company and Stimson Company, who were also part of the competition but did not win the top drawer there. So please meet me over here at this podium right over here, and let's get started. Congratulations to Horbiger. All right. That's very good, yes. All right, let's see. Here we go. Congratulations, first off. Whereas the manufacturing sector plays a vital role in Florida's economy, Florida now ranks as the 10th largest manufacturing state, and South Florida has the highest number of manufacturers of any region in the state. And whereas the Horbiger Corporation of America recently won Manufacturer of the Year in the Titans 200-plus employees category at the South Florida Manufacturers Association at its 45th Recognition of Excellence ceremony on June 20th, 2024, and are located at 1381 Southwest 30th Avenue in Pompano Beach. And whereas, with their performance-defining solutions and passion for innovation, they support customers from various industries in increasing the performance, efficiency, and safety of their products and operations, as well as conserving energy and reducing emissions. And whereas their products and services are used in reciprocating compressors, gas flow control units, vehicle drives, rotating unions, explosive protection, gas-powered engines, and in automobile hydraulics, and since 1985, it has been their ambition to deliver excellence for their customers. Now, therefore, I, Rex Harden, Mayor of the City of Pompano Beach, on behalf of the entire City Commission and residents, do hereby congratulate Horbiger Corporation of America, for the amazing work and commitment this company is providing to our community and throughout the United States. We are proud to have you in our city on this 22nd day of October 2024. Rex Hardin, Mayor. Congratulations. I mean, that's fantastic. Yes. Jeannie, would you like to say a few words?
The one thing I'd just like folks to know is that this is really an intense process. The companies get scrutinized on multiple levels, from internal operations to finance to every part of their business, and they agree to this willingly, and they help them with their processes. Micah, you want to? Oh, I'm sorry, Jeannie McIntyre, Economic Development.
Good evening. My name is Micah Daugherty. I am the Senior Business Advisor for the South Florida Manufacturers Association and the lead examiner for the Manufacturer of the Year Awards process. Yeah, I've had this distinguished honor for the past 4 years, and I've seen a lot of companies go through this process. 3 companies here tonight. Obviously, this is about Horbiger tonight, but congratulations to Eric and his group, to Stimpson and their group for being a finalist in a very large field of manufacturers that was narrowed down to 25, and also to Joe Kell, 3 great companies here in Pompano Beach. It is a rigorous process that all of these manufacturers go through to win this award, but the real benefit at the end is pretty much all of the feedback that they get on how to improve their businesses and really improve themselves as being a staple in the community. We want to make sure that companies like these 3 standing before us today continue to provide a great source of employment, obviously tax dollars, and just really making the world a better place with the products that they make. So I really want to congratulate all 3 of you in the great work that you've done here in Pompano Beach and for the state of Florida.
My name is Arek Dirdu. We've been part of the community since 1970s. So yes, it is a process with SFMA, but it's doable. So if you guys have any of the companies participate in it, I think it's a fantastic feedback and fantastic event.
Mr. Mayor, another example of District 5 excellence and superiority. So I congratulate you on behalf of the district.
It is amazing. Most folks don't realize how many manufacturers we have here in the city of Pompano Beach. Manufacturing is making a great comeback, but we've had these folks in our midst for a long time. So thank you for all they do, providing the jobs and tax base for our community. All right, our next proclamation is for Florida City Government Week. Whereas, because city government is the government closest to most citizens and the one with the most direct daily impact upon its residents, it is important that residents understand how their city operates, the services it provides, and the importance of their active involvement. And whereas Florida City Government Week, sponsored by the Florida League of Cities, is a week-long celebration that raises awareness about the importance of city government and its daily impact on residents. And whereas Florida City Government Week is an opportunity to help our residents become more informed about the many services we provide. And whereas city government officials and employees share the responsibility to pass along their understanding of public services and their benefits. Now, therefore, I, Rex Hardin, Mayor of the City of Pompano Beach, on behalf of the entire City Commission and residents, do hereby proclaim the following: that the City of Pompano Beach does encourage all citizens, city government officials, and employees to do everything possible to ensure that this week is recognized and celebrated accordingly, that the City of Pompano Beach does support and encourage all city governments to actively promote and sponsor Florida City Government Week. Done this 22nd day of October 2024, Rex Harden, Mayor. So yeah, and as part of this, the city, our social media channels, we're going to start broadcasting what we do as a city, just so folks will have a better idea. I mean, most people don't realize the depth of what the city does and also the impact it has on our residents. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. Thank you so much. All right, that takes us up to audience to be heard. Do we have anyone signed up for audience to be heard, Mr. Alfred?
Yes, ma'am. We have 15 speakers signed
15.
up to speak. Yes.
Okay, 15. Let's see how far we get.
Our first speaker is Kenneth Arnold, followed by Chris Frank, followed by Keith Dest, followed by Lisa Goletz.
Very good. Just 3 minutes for your comments. Please name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Kenneth Arnold, 1849 East Atlantic Boulevard, Pompano Beach, Florida. I'm going to start off with two parks. First park, Tester Park. May 14th, Commissioner Barry Moss stated 5 months ago, I don't know nothing about anything that was said tonight, but I'm wondering if we could have someone from the Parks and Recreation to write a summary or a report about what's this all about. I'm here today, I guess, as part of REC. We never had that meeting. It's 5 months now. And once Commissioner Allison won her seat, I feel that the park department made a deal with her to get vengeance on Pompano Beach baseball. In turn, Pompano Park department got a baseball field, I got a baseball program, and a skate park. I wouldn't put it past management at this point that they ask members to vote certain ways. Reason I'm saying this, as soon as Allison made her seat, they sent out an e-bid in December 7th of 22 for an e-bid following up another e-bid on February 8, 23, and the bid was PFP T0423. The other bid was T1523. And after that, e-bids, when you ask somebody to come into Pompano Baseball or ask to do a program, you usually would call them up and say, we're sending an e-bid. It just came out as e-bid on the thing. On May 9th, okay, this is 5 months later, May 9th, Allison was the only commissioner who said she didn't want Pompano Baseball. She was upset with Pompano Baseball. So obviously Mark knew her decision before this was even came. My other thing was going to McNabb Park. You asked me to sign a quick deed, didn't know what was going on, still haven't found out. April 13th, 25, Pinehurst Park was used by those who bought the lot from Pinehurst. It was 3 acres. I would assume that was that area. And August 27, 47, Robert McNabb was killed instantly struck by lightning while operating a tractor Wednesday afternoon in Pinehurst. My grandmother said it was in her backyard. After that, the park was, in March 5th, 49, the park was set aside as a recreation center. Almost done. February 25th, 1952, the park was still dedicated to Robert L. McNabb that was killed, and it was called the War Memorial Park. On June 14th, 1966, the founding fathers wanted to put a fountain in the park, and it was discontinued because the founders of the park, the McNabb families on both sides, didn't want the park to be changed.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Commissioner Fournier.
I guess we get to talk about baseball again. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. So I do believe that there was an extremely comprehensive memo done that we received in June in response to the dialogue and the back and forth. June 10th, it was 47 pages. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and read it, but you should probably try and read it because it validated most of the accusations and the concerns about the Pompano baseball program that existed here in post the time that you were here. So there was unprofessional behavior. There were kids playing in the wrong age groups in the playoffs. There were baseball games being played in the middle of football practices and creating extremely dangerous situations. I actually invited you to come out because I was coaching one of the teams in the spring, and you declined the invitation. So come out to the field and see what goes on. The city took baseball in-house because it wasn't working for the children here. And they did a great first season of baseball. I have no idea how a travel contract came to be, but it came before us, and we hadn't had travel baseball for these kids in as long as I've been here. So we actually, as a commission, accomplished bringing youth baseball back to Pompano in a professional way for these children, professionally run by the city of Pompano Beach. We put in a travel baseball program that hadn't existed. We have done so much for youth baseball. And like I said, I come out there, okay? Come out there and see it, Mr. Arnold. It's impressive what they're doing out there. Thank you.
Very good. Next speaker.
Chris Frank, followed by Keith Deck.
Good evening.
Chris Frank, 1625 Northeast 29th Street, Pompano Beach. I'm not fully aware of all the issues I'm about to bring up, but I just would like you guys to clarify it best as a constituent. It comes to my attention that there may be something going on with 16th Street Park, and that there is possibly a developer getting a piece of that park. And I just would like to express this. You can tell me all the day long that it's not going to happen, and I'd appreciate it if that is on the record. I just would like to, it's been brought to some of our attention as constituents of all of you that do use that park. A couple of issues that I just would like to bring up, and take it as my opinion, but I am a citizen of Pompano who likes to see Pompano as a great family city. That park is utilized by numerous people and provides access to the jetty, which people cannot get access from any other location because it's too far of a walk if you are. That is also the area you have deemed as the area for the kite surfers. So that's the only place they have access to utilize that. The park has been utilized by many people for many different reasons, and for any developer to get a piece of that is not fair to the city residents. That piece of property is probably worth ballpark $25, $30 million, and to give that away to any developer would be stealing from the citizens of Pompano. And these are, again, my opinions, but I know I am shared with many other residents of this city that would like that. I'm trying to keep it short because, like I said, I'm not fully educated on this, but I just wanted to get my point out there. There are currently 34 parking spaces. What I would suggest with this is that the developer who owns the property next door that is considering or trying to get a piece of that property, why don't we take eminent domain and take their property and use it for our benefit? This eminent domain, as I looked it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let the gentleman speak.
As I looked it up, eminent domain is for the people to benefit from acquiring property, not a developer acquiring the people's property. That is how I understood it. Give me one moment. And I also was curious, because I am not aware, it came to my attention today from speaking to someone that I think is fairly knowledgeable, that decision would not actually be made by you as the commissioners. That decision would be made by the city manager. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'd rather you correct me then, so I understand this. But, and I'll end with this, two things. Again, I just want to strongly protest that this is the city's property and the citizens' property. It should not be dolled out by anyone on this commission, nor by any city employee. It should be established that it gets protected by the commission itself for the people.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, just ladies and gentlemen, please, no applause during the meeting. Now, I said it, I touched on this last meeting, and I'll reiterate it. 16th Street Park is a city park. No developer is getting part of that park. There is an agreement for a developer to modify it and rebuild it for the benefit of the people, but they're not getting a piece of that park. It was part of the development agreement for the developer that, okay, for them to do their development, they agreed to redo our park for us. Parkland in the city of Pompano Beach is protected. We can't get rid of it, we being the commission. We can't get rid of it, we being the administration. The only people who can get rid of parkland in the city of Pompano Beach are the people through a vote on the ballot. So I don't know who people are listening to, how this got started, but it's wrong. It's not true. So if people are saying that, I'm telling you, it's wrong. It's not true. Thank you. Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you. Next speaker.
Keith Dex.
Good evening, Keith Bestek, 1740 Northwest 22nd Court. Back in 1989, I got my...
Can you get just a little closer to the microphone?
Back in 1989, I got my first open water scuba certification in, it's not Biddeford, Maine, but it's in Maine at a Nubble Lighthouse Point. I moved to Florida, Pompano Beach in 91, and immediately fell in love with our Lighthouse Point lighthouse. Every guest I've had here from New England and even Venezuela and California, we go out 16th Street, we walk up to that. You've reassured us that that access isn't going to be taken away, and I will take your word on that. But for me, as someone who's moved to South Florida, hablo español fluentemente bien, falo muito pouco português. I've acculturated to South Florida very, very well. And for everyone who comes to Florida, that is a gold mine spot there. And what the previous gentleman had mentioned about Pompano should discuss purchasing more parking for that spot, because it is definitely a throttling mechanism to keep that spot as pristine as it is. And maybe adding more spots might not be good, because there's a real nice community there. They pick it up, they take care of it. Every day you go there, there's some retirees who pull out their own thing and they sit and just wait to help someone all day long. And that's the purpose of their retirement, at that little nook down there at 16th Street. So I take your word on that it's not going to be closed off, but eminent domain, what was suggested sounded thrilling, because parking, I've had to been dropped off there. There are times when I kiteboard, and I'm a certified kiteboarder, to where we'll do an upwind or a downwind, and I'll get dropped off there, and someone's gonna pick me up in Lake Worth, or someone's gonna pick me up in Miami Beach, where I end up, depending on which way the wind is going. It's a very valid place. I've owned sport fish boats and come in and out of that inlet many, many times. I've fished there, I've scuba dove there, I've snorkeled off of that. It's a very, very important cut. I appreciate any attention you give it. That's it.
Very good. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Lisa.
Just name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
It's my birthday tonight, and I'm going to dinner.
Hi, Lisa Golitz, 1340 South Ocean Boulevard, Penthouse 8. I've been going to North Ocean Park since I was a young child. Daily and weather permitting, our mother would take all 5 of us, our children, to swim in the ocean, build sandcastles, and have barbecues. On Friday nights, we would have clam bakes on the beach. We had a relationship with Randy, who owned this property. Upon her passing, she willed the property to the city of Pompano Beach to be used as a public park for residents and tourists. This development would break her heart, as this was not her intention. I still go to this park regularly. It is difficult, very difficult, to find a parking space or even grills and pavilions due to the amount of people enjoying our park. You can always see people swimming in the ocean walking the short distance to the jetties for a closer view of the lighthouse as they watch the boats go in and out of the inlet, and excitedly watching the kite surfers doing their amazing stunts. This park is also used for a surf camp for teaching our young children how to surf safely. If the city feels like, and I've known that this was said, that this park is run down, then it's the city's responsibility for maintaining not only this park, but for all of our parks in City Pompano Beach, as of Indian Mountain Park, which you did not know about. They supposedly building of a cafe is taking away not only from the park's charm, but it's not what the residents want. After all, there's not enough parking as is. Where and how many additional parking spaces does the city plan to add to alleviate this problem once this so-called cafe is up and running? I am very opposed to this property being taken away from the residents of the developers to build yet another condo in Pompano Beach. I understand what you said earlier. I want my voice to be heard, as I feel like it is not being heard from our commissioner or many other commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Just next speaker.
Scott Fletcher.
But just to reiterate, that park is not going anywhere. The developer's not taking over our park. The developer is not parking at our park. The developer will provide parking for their own development. Go ahead, sir.
And I'm here for 16th Street. My name's Scott Fleischer. I actually live in Coconut Creek, 3730 Cocoa Lake Drive. Been going to 16th Street since I was in high school, 1991. Windsurf there, kite surf there, wing surf there. It's been a part of my life, and it's been a big part of my life. Now, it's a unique situation over there, which is why we're one of the most popular spots in the state, is because we're protected by not only the inlet, but a reef out there. So it gives our shore break, it takes a lot out of the shore break. So it's a much more user-friendly spot than any other spot on the beach per se. So that's why that spot is really important to us. And we're only given, say, 150 feet to work with. And it was my understanding that the development was going to take a portion of that. If that's not the case, I'm happy to hear that. What's important to me is the beach access and not losing our portion of that. Parking is a big issue. The fact that there's supposed to be a cafe, I don't see how that's even possible, as on most weekends you can't even get a spot there unless you get there first thing in the morning. And just the fact that, like the gentleman said about the eminent domain and it having to do with the people and not for the developer, I'm a firm believer in that. So I'm going to take you on your word, and I'm going to cut myself short, but I'm here in support of the park.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. We really do. But as I stated, it's no plans here. Nope. We've got a great beach park there. Absolutely. Next speaker.
Rick Losi, followed by Kim Griffiths, followed by Daniel B. Ryder.
Thank you. Well, it's your time. Here, you can have a
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak with you. My name's Rick Yossi, 551 Northeast 17th Street, Boca Raton, Florida. I'm here to try to represent the wind sports enthusiasts who avidly love and use Northeast 16th Street. And I'm not going to belabor a lot of old stuff, and your time is very valuable. I've heard directly and indirectly from yourself, Mr. Mayor, the vice mayor, assistant city manager, that nothing is going to change with regard to the designated water sports area, which I personally have used for only 30 years. It's even older than that. It's almost a permanent fixture. Being sort of insecure, what I wanted to do is just to sort of phrase my understanding of what doesn't change means based on what I know of that spot. Because we really love this place, we want it to remain unchanged. And the condo may go in, and that's fine. We just don't want it to impact our area unduly. Basically, my understanding is that the current water sports launch landing area, approximately 150 feet or more, north to south, generally east of North Ocean Park, will remain unchanged with regard to dimensions, location, and use. If that is the case, we're good, we're great. I have one other special request on top of that. If it could be made so in perpetuity. It has already been there 30-plus years. It'd be nice to sort of formalize that into the future. Other people have taken time out to come here to support this. Folks who are in favor of Northeast 16th Street, if you could raise hands. Thank you all for coming. More parking would be great. I'd love to see the duet thing turn into one, but that's another task. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next speaker.
Kim
I'm just going to say I don't want to take up anybody's valuable time, but I am here also to support 16th Street, but we don't have to be redundant. We were taking your word for it, we'll let it rest. There was just so many rumors, and we were just so concerned about it. Met Andrea at my building at Tiffany Gardens, where I moved 2-3 years ago from New York.
Man, I'm gonna have to ask you to come forward. I appreciate your comments, but yeah, we got to get it on the record. So just name and address and.
Kim Griffith, 1610 North Ocean Boulevard. I was just saying, I don't want to take up much of your time because you did guarantee us that nothing is going to change, but I also came here, to hear with my own ears. I moved from New York during COVID, and the reason I moved to Pompano was specifically for that Kite Beach. I've been visiting for about 10 years. My parents live in Boca, and the people there and the community there and the sports there has just become my family and my life, and we just all cherish it, and that's why we're all here today, to make sure it's protected. But thank you for your time, and I'm going to go back and report that we could all kite surf happily for generations to come.
Absolutely. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. And just to clarify things, it's not that nothing will change because that park is going to be upgraded. But thank you. Next speaker.
Daniel B. Ryder, followed by Marquise Smith, followed by Cynthia Elder.
Hey everybody, I'm the redundant one again. I'm Daniel Ryder. I live on 2800 Northeast 14th Street Causeway, and I've been there since '96. And I got engaged on the beach, I'm still not married, but still got engaged there. My daughter, was raised there. My daughter was raised there. But to put myself out there a little bit also for the community, everybody in this entire place knows somebody that's afflicted with some kind of addiction. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 Alcoholics Anonymous meetings down there a week. And Saturday and Sunday usually brings about 100 people each morning. And then Sunday night probably brings another 50 to 25. And then Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever it is, also brings a lot. And I'm here also, and I appreciate that you guys aren't going to be taking that away. Because when I heard it, because I'm a 10-minute walk, you know what I mean? I walk there. I don't even have to take my car. I don't care about parking, do what you want. But just to be affirmed that it isn't being taken away, because it is huge. We've had that meeting there since 1991. I moved here in '96, but it's been there since '91. And we just wanted to really make sure that we still had our safe place, not that we're babies or anything, but that place will be preserved for what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Next speaker. Just name and address for the record.
Marquise Smith. My address is 611 Northwest 2nd Terrace, Pompano Beach. First and foremost, I just want to start it on a positive note. I would like to thank Mr. Mario Santiago, I hope I didn't butcher that too bad, and BSO for working with me hand in hand the last time I was able to make the meeting. I was having issues with the empty lot beside my property of people using drugs and prostitution and the whole nine, and the lot across from me was very bad, and they got things under control for the most part. But my main concern is, and it's something that they couldn't help me with, was the empty lot facing the back way. This is where they cut across and use the area for prostitution and drugs, because it's like a dead end in that way. To give a more general idea, is closer to the Esther Road. And I was wondering, would you allow the owner to just block that back way off to keep them from trespassing, because it's affecting my side? Because when I come to do renovations, I'm finding condoms, needles, you name it, and you can see it. I mean, BSO has done what they can do, but they can't sit there and micromanage. They have to manage the cities, which I understand that. But I feel like if we were able to block that section, it would eliminate most of the traffic.
I don't know the answer to your question, but it sounds like it might be an alleyway issue.
It's not really, well, I guess.
But if it is an alleyway issue, if the alleyway is not necessary, then I would definitely support that. But I would ask you, if I could you get with Mr. Bosworth at the end of the,
Okay.
and he can get with the legal department, and we can figure out what it is, so that we can figure out, is there a way that we can help accomplish your purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you again, BSO.
And great job, Mario and BSO. Thank you for all you guys do. It works. Thank you. Next speaker.
Cynthia Elder, followed by Romaine Escher, followed by Audrey Physick.
Very good. Just name and address for the record.
Yeah, for the record, my name is Cynthia Corbett Elder. I am a tax-paying resident. I live at 2361 Northeast 15th Terrace in the Fairway Heights block. We're located one block west of Federal off of US 1, one block west of US 1 off of Copens Road. I'm here to talk about the streetlights that are planned for our street that we actually thought was a done deal and it had gone away. I initially raised some concerns in December 2022 when we saw the markings on our street, and reached out to city staff who couldn't answer my phone request if it was bearing FPL power lines or installing street lights. I made email requests. My neighbors could see what was going on in the Crest Haven neighborhood to the west with the 30-foot monster streetlight installations that were installed. It light up the neighborhood like a used car lot, and now light up half of the residents on Northeast 15th Street's backyards, including mine. I put in a public records request for information. I was bound and determined to find out how this came about. I came to you, presented a petition on January 24, 2023, signed by 22 of the 27 residents on our block, requesting you cease and desist installation of lights on our block. I asked we be included in the planning process for our street and maintained that we are not Crest Haven, we are Fairway Heights. When I got home from that meeting, I received a notice on my door from a city official telling me it wasn't necessary to attend. And then later I got an email from the city clerk at 5:25 showing me the Crest Haven study, or saying that the lighting project was part of Crest Haven because we're serviced by FP&L. I continued to email staff and copy you all. I felt that you weren't listening to what we asked. We asked that no lights be installed, or asked. I continued to email. Other residents to the west complained. Our commissioner, Rhonda Eaton, says, oh, residents want it in Crest Haven, just block your windows. Needless to say, it started again in September 2023, and boring started on my block. They were digging in the sewer. I continued to email city staff. I said, why If you're the public trustees and we're the residents, the beneficiaries of the public trust, why are you not listening? That same day, the city manager said the project's on hold. We thought it was on hold. We thought it didn't happen. Nothing was happening. I actually thought, okay, good, we're done. And then, in September, the marking showed up again. And instead of 8, what was reduced to 7, now there are 14, every 75 feet, straddling.
Thank you.
I raised my kids on this block. Our neighbors raised our kids on this block. These houses were built in the 60s. There were never any need for streetlights. There still are not. I just wish that you would listen to us.
Thank you, Ms. Elder. Thank you.
That staff would listen to us, come out, talk to us.
Thank you, Ms. Elder.
Here's what we got.
Ms. Elder,
After I raised an issue, we get notified.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave the podium. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not the only one here.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
have a neighbor here.
I appreciate your comments, and I know that you've been conversing with staff on this. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
You're not listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good. So
Raymond Astor, followed by Audrey Physick, followed by David
Irvin,
Hall.
I believe that's 10, isn't it?
Yes. I was just monitoring the 30 minutes. I'm sorry.
I thought it was, 10. 10 people or 30 minutes.
Okay.
The rest, we'll hear the rest of the audience to be heard at the end of the meeting.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Ramin Afshar, 1401 North Riverside Drive.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and listen to this one. Go ahead, sir.
Very quickly,
Sure.
thank you so much for hearing us. I'm another kite surfer from 16th Street, another person that moved to Pompano Beach to kite surf, use that beach all the time. Rick touched on it a little bit. We have 150 feet of space. It's very important that we maintain 150 feet of space. There's rumors that some of that space has been taken, not all of it, but some of it. And that's going to really affect us, especially when it comes time, summertime. Kids have their surf camp there. We're already tight with the kids' surf camp, our kite beach. So I just want to express the importance of us maintaining our entire beach. I appreciate it.
We got it. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Thank you. All right, so the remaining audience to be heard will be at the end of the meeting. All right, that takes us up to our consent agenda. Can I get a motion approving items 1 through 5?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you for that. That takes us up to our regular agenda. Item number 6 is quasi-judicial in nature. Mr. Berman will discuss the procedures. Mr. Berman?
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone wishing to testify on item number 6 must be sworn in and may be subject to cross-examination by the City Commission or by interested parties. Individuals who address the Commission should state their name and whether or not they have been sworn. City staff will make its presentation first, followed by the applicant or anyone else wishing to testify. Following the concluding remarks of the applicant, the hearing shall conclude. The Commission at that time will make its consideration. All those who wish to testify on item number 6, please stand at this time, raise your right hand, and the City Clerk will swear you in. Got one taker.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence or testimony that you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Item number 6 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, abandoning an 18-foot by 3-foot wide portion of a utility easement located on the southeast corner of North Riverside Drive and Sunset Drive, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Ms. Dolan.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, G. Dolan Development Services. This is an abandonment request for an 18 by 3-foot utility easement located under the existing building at 420 North Riverside Drive. The structure was built in 1978, so this small part of the easement has been inaccessible for the past 46 years. There are no utilities located in this easement. The Planning and Zoning Board unanimously recommended approval, and staff recommends approval. Both staff and the applicant are present if you have any questions.
Very good. Does the applicant wish to make any presentation, or is this here for questions? Questions only. Very good. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions. Seeing none, let's go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Segerson Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes, that ends our quasi-judicial proceedings. Item number 7 is an approval.
Approval to roll over funding from fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025 for capital outlay and operating expenditures totaling $2,933,171.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Ms. Diamante.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, Arieta Diamante, Budget Director. This is a housekeeping item to roll forward funding for various funds, mostly for capital outlay items and a few operating items that were unable to be to procure in the previous fiscal year. Therefore, the departments are requesting to roll over this funding in order to complete those projects and or purchase the equipment. That concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes?
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item number 8 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute service contracts between the City of Pompano Beach and Televac South Incorporated and the City of Pompano Beach and Enviro Waste Services Group, Inc., to provide inspection, desilting, and dewatering services to the city's stormwater system and jet vacuum on-call services for city utilities, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Randy Brown, Utilities Director. This is the second reading of ordinance for services for cleaning sewer and stormwater pipes.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns. Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Segerson Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harden.
Yes. Item number 9 is a second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute a piggyback agreement for cured-in-place pipes, CIPP pipeline rehabilitation services between the City of Pompano Beach and In Situ Form Technologies, LLC, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Mr. Brown.
Evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Randy Brown, Utilities Director. This is the second reading of ordinance for lining of our wastewater and stormwater pipes.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
My name is Cynthia Corbett Elder. I live at 2361 Northeast 15th Terrace, Pompano Beach, Florida. On our street, the sewers are crumbling. The road is cracked. There's been issues. I'm not sure if it has to do, it is a city street. The sewer is, I guess, water, wastewater, but it is crumbling. So I don't understand why you would upgrade and install 14 street lights on a crumbling road with a sinkhole where the sewer is. We have a neighbor at the end of the cul-de-sac that basically the road is falling in, and she's afraid her driveway is going to sink. And that's exactly where they posted to put one of these damn street lights. Nothing further. And I really wish you would respond to the street light issue. Allison Fournier, thank you for listening to me. And thank you for, apparently we're now a test case for your neighborhood.
Thank you, Ms.
But
Elder.
I wish we weren't. I wish it was like half as many.
Thank you, Ms. Elder. Mr. Brown, is that area, is that covered by Pompano Beach water? That's Broward County water, wastewater, but we're still responsible for the streets in that area, correct? And if there's a sinkhole there, we need to get some coordinated efforts with Broward County to get out there and look at that and make sure they are taking care of that. I know that from time to time that happens in our system also, but yes. Ms. Elder, if I could ask you, could you email me the address of where that's taking place out in the street? That would be helpful. Thank you. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Mr. Brown. Do you have a prioritization list of where we're going to use this $2 million? Can you send that to us when you have a...
We had it all together, we're mapping it, and then we're listing it by lift station district, so yes, it's coming.
Okay, can you please share that when it's available? Thank you.
Yes.
Further commission discussion. Mr. Berman?
Yes, sir.
Just a question. Is this one of those things that if our amendments pass, we wouldn't have this second reading?
Yes, correct, Mayor. If this had just needed one resolution to pass it, they'd be fixing those pipes already instead of us waiting another couple of weeks to vote on it a second time after paying for advertising and using taxpayer dollars.
Very good.
Thank you.
That's what I thought. Commissioner Fournier.
Yeah, or at the 1 p.m. meeting when we went through this the first time, no one spoke because there was no one here, and this is the second reading at a 6 p.m. meeting when there are people here, so something was actually brought to our attention. So there was actually value in having a second hearing here. Just another
Very
flip
good.
side.
Further commission discussion. Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Segerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Mayor Harton.
Yes. Item number 10 is the second reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach approving the issuance of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida Water and Wastewater Revenue Bonds, Series 2024, in an aggregate principal amount not exceeding $90 million, the Series 2024 bonds, under Ordinance Number 2021-62, enacted on June 22, 2021, the bond ordinance, for the purpose of financing, including through reimbursement, the acquisition, construction, and equipping of all or a portion of certain capital projects related to the issuer's water, sewer, wastewater, and reuse system, as more fully described herein, paying cost of issuance of the Series 2024 bonds, and funding capitalized interest on the Series 2024 bonds and/or a reserve subaccount for the Series 2024 bonds if determined necessary and appropriate as provided herein. Fixing certain terms and details of the Series 2024 bonds, authorizing execution and delivery of the Series 2024 bonds, authorizing the public sale of the Series 2024 bonds, and the use of the preliminary official statement, official notice of sale, and summary notice of sale in connection therewith. Delegating authority to the city manager of the issuer in consultation with the issuer's municipal advisor to accept, pursuant to a competitive public sale process, the bid or bids of the lowest qualified bidder or bidders for the purchase of the Series 2024 bonds, subject to certain parameters and other matters set forth herein. Directing the application of the proceeds of the Series 2024 bonds, approving the form of and authorizing the distribution of a preliminary official statement, and authorizing the execution and delivery of a final official statement, and authorizing the execution and delivery of a certificate deeming the preliminary official statement final. Approving the appointment of UMB Bank N.A. as the paying agent and registrar for the Series 2024 bonds, approving the form of and authorizing execution and delivery of a continuing disclosure certificate with respect to the Series 2024 bonds, providing for the appointment of a dissemination agent, providing for a municipal bond insurance policy option, the appointment of providing for certain amendments to the bond ordinance, authorizing other required actions, authorizing the proper city officials of the issuer to do all other things deemed necessary or advisable in connection with the matters provided for herein, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Good evening, Ms. Furtado.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This is the second reading of the ordinance for the issuance of a water and wastewater revenue bond, Series 2024, not to exceed principal amount of $90 million. There is no additional change since our first reading.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just give your name and address for the record.
Cindy Corbett Elder, 2361 Northeast 15th Terrace, Pompano Beach, Florida. when you talk about bonds. The streetlight project was part of the Go Bond issue. And apparently, we were included in the Crest Haven Lighting Project, which, according to your website, was completed in June and July. Both reports show it on your website as a completed bond issue. I brought that up to staff well, that's a mistake. That is false reporting on bonds, is it not?
Ms. Elbert, we're on the $90 million water and sewer bonds.
I know. I'm wondering how they'll report on those bonds, you know, because you're not reporting correctly on the GO bonds. And as public servants, you guys are the trustees. My understanding is we can make claims on those bonds. That's all.
Very good. Thank you for that. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes. Item number 11 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute a master services agreement between the City of Pompano Beach and Walters Kluwer Financial Services, Inc. for teammate audit function management software, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, DC.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Vice Mayor, honorable commissioners. The item before you is a request to purchase and subscribe to Teammate Plus, an end-to-end audit management and workflow solution. We are planning to subscribe to 3 licenses over the next 5 years. It is going to help us plan, focus our work based on the results from citywide risk assessments, track those risks over time, and monitor changes while appropriate actions are taken to mitigate those risks. We also plan to use it for the data analytics out of our audit process where necessary. As mentioned before, we will use it to manage our workflow from risk assessment, risk planning, reporting, and all the way through follow-up in the one application. We will use it to communicate and work with the respective departments within the application. It also will help us meet the current internal audit standards from the Institute of Internal Auditors, Global Internal Audit Standards, that will get us through internal and external assessment of our office with respect to those standards. That concludes my comments, subject to your questions.
Very good. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Don't have something like this very often. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Quick question. How many FTEs do you have?
3.
You have 3 now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission questions, concerns? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harden?
Yes. Item 12 is the first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 155 zoning code of the Pompano Beach Code of Ordinances by deleting Appendix C fee schedule in its entirety and by creating a new Appendix C fee schedule, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good evening, Mr. Donovan.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Brian Donovan, Assistant City Manager. The purpose of the ordinance this evening is a continuation of our process of moving and maintaining our fees online versus having them in the Code of Ordinances. As you can imagine, when most people look to inquire about their fees, they're usually done online or they call staff. We don't, and nor would I recommend them going into our Code of Ordinances to look for those fees. Any update from fees, if approved, will be done via resolution. That concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns. I just have to say thank you for this. You're absolutely right. When somebody wants to know what they're going to have to pay for something, rarely do they look to our code of ordinances. They go to the website. So it's great having those kind of resources available for the public there. Thank you for that. Further commission discussion? Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harton?
Yes. Item 13 is a first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 152 Buildings by creating Section 152.09 Building Permit and Inspection Fees to provide for the location of a building permit and inspection fee schedule and for the location of the city's building permit and inspection utilization report by deleting in its entirety Section 152.10 double fees, reinspection fees, certificate of occupancy, Section 152.11 E-plan fees, and Section 152.12 building permit fees. By amending Section 152.13 Building Safety Inspection Program to modify the reference for fees by deleting it in its entirety Section 152.16 Document Production Fees and Section 152.17 Specialty and Maintenance Inspection Fees, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Once again, Mr. Donovan.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, good evening once again. This ordinance is similar to the last ordinance you passed on first reading. The only difference is this will be pertaining to the building department fees. And that concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns. Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harton?
Yes. Item 14 is a first reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute an agreement between the City of Pompano Beach and Water Taxi of Fort Lauderdale, LLC, for water transportation services, and to authorize the proper city officials to make non-substantive amendments without further commission approval, as may be required by the federal government for American Rescue Plan Act funding, and to provide copies of such amendments to the City Commission and City Clerk, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Good evening, Mr. Bosworth.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Earl Bosworth, Assistant City Manager. Happy to present this ordinance to you today. This ordinance is for a 3-year contract with 2 additional 1-year terms with Water Taxi of Fort Lauderdale, LLC. CEO of the company, Mr. Walker's in the audience in case you get detailed questions that I may not be able to handle, but I think I can. It's a 3-year contract, 2 additional 1-year terms to provide services in an annual amount not to exceed $876,000. Fiscal impact over the 3 years is $2.6 million. We've received an FDOT service grant that will cover an estimated $1.275 million, so almost half that cost of those operating costs. And we've reserved ARPA funds in the amount of $876,000 that we'll use it to cover some of the first 6-8 months of operation because the FDOT grant won't kick in till July. And later in the presentation, I'll go through the exact scenarios of how we've structured it as a variable subsidy type of model for funding based on ridership, since we really don't know at this point what the system will bring in. Pompano Beach Water Taxi is proposed as a component of a regional transportation service that will link the city, Pompano Beach, with neighboring coastal cities of Lighthouse Point to the north and Lauderdale by the Sea to the south, and then Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood to the south, as a transfer into that system via the intercoastal waterway along the east coast through Broward County. So the intent is to provide this alternate transportation service to points of interest in the city through a system of 11 stops, including the fishing village, restaurants, hotels, Fisher Family Pier, shops, and the general beach area, to connect riders with neighboring attractions and amenities. Water taxi stops are conveniently located to the circuit micro-mobility routes throughout the beach area. And then, as you know, when we get into phase 2 and 3 of our mobility plan,
Those will be connected even further to the west. The new water taxi service is a logical extension of these micromobility routes, which were previously funded by the same FDOT grant. What you see here is it's a small version of the map. I'll pull up a larger one so you can see the actual stops, and we'll talk about those. But this is showing the 11 proposed stops and the connection to 20 additional stops in Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood. These stops, the general services that any of our residents, visitors can board at any location for any duration between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. And I'll show you an actual schedule of the proposed service, and access up to 12 hours each day with one single ticket, and there will be annual passes available, and we'll get into to all the prices and fares for those fees. This is a larger version of the map, so you'll see that we have stops at the Blue Moon in Lauderdale by the Sea, going all the way up to Naughty Dog and Lighthouse Point. The points in between include Port Royale, the Indian Mound Park, Sands Harbor and Resort, Chris Raka Memorial Park, Scott Winters Park, Alsdorf Park, Northeast 16th Street Park, Roy Rogers Family Park, and Wahoo Bay, and then up to the Naughty Dog and Cap's Place in Lighthouse Point. Here's the schedule. We knew you probably couldn't see this on the big screen, but basically what it does is it shows, again, our hours of operation between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. with a total stops per day of 128. So 128 stops per day. That includes both boats going in each direction. If you get into the vessel specifications, this service will provide it with 2 boats. The capacity service will be provided by 2 U.S. Coast Guard certified 55 passenger boats. They'll be operated by 1 captain and 1 deckhand. The boats are 40 feet in length, 12 feet wide, with an enclosed unisex head. That's a bathroom for those who don't understand boat lingo. The vessels are equipped with Tier 3 compliant engines for emissions. They have security cameras and sound system. They are low wake and, of course, ADA accessible. So here are the proposed fares for the system. For the Pompano Beach system, we'll have adults, it'll be a $30 ticket. Seniors or military, $25. Children between 5 and 11 will be $10. Evening pass will be $15. Evening pass starts around 5. Could vary plus or minus depending on the season. And then for residents of Pompano Beach, a multi-day pass at $80 and then an annual pass at $250. Important to note on these passes that, like the multi-day pass, good for 30 consecutive days from the first boarding. So the passenger would buy that pass. First time they get on, they have 30 days to use that. And then the annual pass, the same thing, but good for 1 year from the first boarding. And that includes riding into the Fort Lauderdale system. I think most of you have seen this and seen the network, the extensive network that Water Taxi has in the community, especially south to us. They've established partnerships with many successful resellers, and even in Pompano Beach, which there's a local reseller portfolio of partners that Water Taxi has established, including hotels, restaurants, and shops. These retailers sell Water Taxi tickets and earn ancillary income and then become ambassadors of the Pompano Beach operation. They sell through concierge links, QR code signage, point of sale. For example, coastal restaurants enable wait staff to sell tickets to guests through their point of sale system. They've established partnerships with many community and charitable organizations that help promote taxi services to the local community. The partner bundle program offers discounted tickets when purchased in bulk quantities. For example, they currently have a bundle package with the Marriott that includes a room, water taxi tickets, and then champagne or a cocktail, depending on the package. They also have a bundle package with Top Golf. Marketing activities, I'm just going to touch on a few here. Water Taxi creates brand awareness and market services through various channels. So they have a digitalwatertaxi.com, have ongoing Google ad campaigns, paid social media marketing, monthly newsletter, and then their social media. They have Facebook following of 31,000 followers, Instagram of 20.4 thousand, and then 848 LinkedIn followers. Our stellar marketing team will create additional awareness for the system through press releases, social media, monthly newsletter, and periodic campaigns. City has 64,000 Facebook followers, 28,000 Instagram, and 4,000 on LinkedIn. So I think, and you're aware of our marketing capabilities, I'm sure our team will really be able to support and just increase the effectiveness of what Water Taxi is currently doing. This is what I've wanted to explain. We came up with, as we looked at this system and we looked at the ridership and you know, trying to figure out what the optimal performance of this system would be, worked with Water Taxi to come up with a base plan. The base plan is based on total revenue of $1.6 million a year. That's based on 6,663 riders per month. And then what that equates to is 79,956 riders per year at an average rate of $21 per ride. So when I give you the three different scenarios, keep that in mind, and it may keep things simpler, that the ridership is based on an average of $21 per ride. So when you look at those fares we presented, they look at that, they look at the bundled programs, and come up with that average cost of a ride. So in the best case scenario, now keep in mind, we're funding this with $1.2 million in FDOT grant money, $876,000 in ARPA funds. The best case scenario, if we reach that 79,956 estimated riders, the revenue from ticket sales hits that 1.6 million. City of Pompano Beach would not owe a dime in subsidy. So if we hit that level of ridership, we don't owe Water Taxi a penny. If, again, if we don't have any riders above those minimums that are set, the maximum we would pay Water Taxi, or we would be on the hook for a subsidy or cost sharing, would be $876,000. So if we stay below that, these thresholds that are set, we don't do any ridership above that, $876,000 is the maximum amount the city could pay. If you look at a realistic scenario, again, you take the goal of 79,956 riders. Let's say we had 58,900. Revenue from ticket sales would come up to 1.2 million. The riders under the number of riders that we were short in this scenario is 20,988. Pompano Beach, if you times that by 21 on the average ticket price, Pompano Beach would be responsible for $440,000 of subsidy. Again, FDOT picks up half of that, and then we use ARPA to offset the difference in that. I can't see that, you know, hopefully if the ridership goes to that realistic level and then starts to increase, we're hopeful that in 3 years, we're out of the subsidy business. We have the 2 extra years on there in case, but that's our goal here, is to make the system operate and operate on its own without the city subsidy in those 3 years, or 3 to 5 years at the worst. So again, $2.6 million to operate according to this agreement and our proposal, 1.275 from FDOT, that's a 3-year agreement. That equates to almost half of what our operating costs will be. 876,000 from ARPA, which leaves 477,000 over the 3 years. And again, these numbers are based on if we're paying the full subsidy all 3 years. So even if that were the case and we had to, with the funding available through FDOT and through ARPA, maximum amount the city would be out in the general fund would be $159,000 a year. That's if we don't do one rider above that worst case scenario. I just wanted to show you another good picture of the boat at our dock. That's it. That explains, and I hope you have a good understanding of how we set this up. Here to answer any questions, and just looking forward to taking the next steps with this proposal.
Very good. Thank you for that. It's exciting. It really is. I know we've been working a long time to get to this point. Let's go ahead and get the public involved first. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Cindy Corbett Elder, 2361 Northeast 15th Terrace, Pompano Beach, Florida. I think this is an awesome idea. I will actually tell you that I have some history with the water taxi in Fort Lauderdale. It was part of, initially about 20 years ago, this experiment. Broward County was on the hook because we got grants to build some of these boats in the hope that it would work. The questions I would have you all ask is, are the fees going to remain the same throughout the contract? Because we ended up, the operator came in, said you didn't need to subsidize, this would be the fees, and then he came back asking for more money. We also got sued for ADA compliance. These are ADA compliance boats. And basically my job was to try and dispose of some of these vessels with other federally funded entities. So some of the boats, I think, went on eBay. He may have even bought some of them. They were actually biodiesel, which was really cool, electric biodiesel boats. But anyway, this is a great idea. It seems to be a great project. I hope you meet your numbers.
Thank you.
And it's so much more well thought out than the streetlight project.
Thank you for that, Ms. Elder. Appreciate it. Very good comments. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. I've got Commissioner Fournier followed by Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Earl, for bringing this to us. I know I've been asking about this since I was elected to this seat, so seeing the water taxi signs and nothing happening was always quite sad down by the beach. I do have some questions. Will this be branded Pompano Beach, or will it look just like the yellow Fort Lauderdale water taxi, or will there be something different about these boats that brand them Pompano Beach?
It will look like the boats to the system to the south, but they'll have the Pompano Beach logo on it.
Okay.
As long as we can get Sandra to approve that.
Okay.
She will.
Thank you. I appreciate the connections on the map up to Cap's Place and Naughty Dog, but looking at the map does remind me sadly, of the lack of waterfront dining options we have in Pompano Beach. If we add a stop, is that doable? What happens to this plan? So, for example, there are restaurants on Atlantic Boulevard on the west side, Houston's, Foundry, and we have the parking lot that we are leasing to the south of Atlantic there. Is it possible to create connectivity there, or is this map set in stone for 3 years?
No, it's not, and there's room for us to make minor changes without coming back to the commission, but we would have to look at that, and Mr. Walker and I have already explored the possibility, okay, what if we can get a stop here or here, the areas you've mentioned? Mm-hmm. So we can do that. I feel if it was something that was more than just a minor change, I would come back to you for those amendments.
Okay, I really would like us to look into adding a stop if it's feasible and not, I don't know what the economics are, south of Atlantic on the southwest side, basically, of Atlantic, because that creates connectivity to Harbor Village and all of those shops and restaurants. And then so I have concerns about the ridership assumptions here. So is there an estimate on the ramp-up period? Do we think it will take the full 3 years?
I think we do. We based to handle the first part of your question, Mr. Walker and I talked about that at length. We looked at those numbers and the ridership and looked at his current operation and it was about 25% that we looked at to say, again, at an optimal level, the Pompano Beach system should operate at about a 25% level of the other.
Of Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
So that's the assumption in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we base the pro forma and the estimates on that 25%.
Okay. And do we know what Fort Lauderdale pays for an annual pass? Because the annual resident pass, I'm glad we're including that in here. I think it's a great option. I'd love to see the price be a little more affordable for residents. Because it's one of those things that I think, I know you have to look at the supply-demand curve, like where this falls. You might sell more of them also and make more money if they were less expensive and it doesn't cost you anything to give the incremental ride. So the residents are always asking us for greater discounts on parking and for amenities here. So they have to, we have to subsidize this also. So whatever we can do on that annual resident pass, I actually think you'd probably find yourself selling more of them and potentially making more if you really price that right. So I'd just like to get some feedback on that, and it can be after this meeting, but I'd like to understand the thought process on that price. And other than that, I want to make sure also that we get reporting on this and how it's going as we go along. Because since we are using taxpayer dollars to subsidize this, I just want to make sure that we're getting close to what we think that we're going to do. But thank you so much for this. I'm really excited about it, and I know the residents are going to be really, really excited about this. So thank you.
We'll follow up with that request on the other fares.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just thrilled about this. And I know it's been a long time coming, trying to get it. It was sad to see the water taxi go all those years ago, and it's just great to have back. And I know it's something you've been working on for a long time, you and all the city staff. So I think you probably did a lot of investigation into comparative rates, et cetera, with Fort Lauderdale and economic analysis. I know Suzette and some of the folks in finance probably took a good hard look at that. Everything is flexible, right? And have you looked at whether there would be options as to where we would have property for boarding and unboarding with other stops along the way? I mean, that would be a problem if you didn't have a place to disembark from or embark onto the tank and any parking that might have to go with it. But
we have looked at that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you guys have.
We will monitor that continuously.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's always, when something does arise, I know you can't dock at Houston's anymore. They don't want you. Yeah. I mean, it's sad, but, this is, I think it's just going to be phenomenal, and I'm so happy to see it come back. For our residents who don't own boats, can get out on the water and enjoy a day. I love the flexibility of the evening pass, the day pass, and for our tourism industry that has been, really on the uptick. I think this is going to add so much more and enhance what we already have here in the city. So I just want to say good job to you and staff and everybody involved. I know you've been working on it for a long time. I know I'm happy to see it come back. So thank you. That's it.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, no, I definitely want to thank the water taxi and staff for working this out. I know residents in District 1 have been waiting patiently to bring the water taxi back and are really excited to use the service. Thank you also for working out the annual pass situation. I think that's going to really change the whole usage of water taxi and make it where it's a more transportation option as well. A fun day on the boat, but also a way to get to some great other restaurants. The only question I have on the annual passes, are there any blackout dates, or is this?
I think the only dates would be those dates that water taxi doesn't operate, which would be Christmas Day, and then half of Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Eve.
Okay, excellent. Because the big question I got was for like special events, like the boat show down in Fort Lauderdale, you'd be able to take from Pompano, transfer to Fort Lauderdale, and continue down. Excellent. Well, like I said, I know District 1's been really looking forward to bringing this back, so thank you, and I look forward to riding.
Very good. Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do I understand correctly, you will not be able to get on the boat and buy a ticket on the boat? You have to buy the ticket before you get to the boat, is that correct?
We can buy on the boat, right?
You can purchase a ticket on the boat. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we discussed this at our Saturday meeting, and there's no point in Pompano Beach that's further away from this water taxi stations than Palmyra. However, to the person, everyone who attended my meeting thought this was a terrific idea. We really have to do what we can to enhance our destination for tourism. And this is really going to be a very big help. So, and kudos to you for working out those grants from the different agencies. So this looks a whole lot different today from it did when we were talking about it in the past. So congratulations to you and staff. You did a great job. This is going to be a wonderful enhancement to our city, and the people of Pompano Beach are the beneficiaries. Thanks very much.
Here, here. Just a couple of things. Great job, and it's, thank you for getting this where it's at. And thank you to the water taxi folks for making this happen. Great partnership for a long time now. Let's plan for years and years and years. First question, now supposing we are wildly successful, what happens to the FDOT grants? Do we lose them? Do they go back to FDOT?
No, this grant is for 3 years, and what they do is we submit an estimate. So again, we looked at that 876, we looked at 3 years, and they say, we'll pay for, half of your expenses for that, for whatever our portion is based on the variable rate.
I get that, but supposing we wind up with, 150,000 riders the first year, way beyond our expectations. I mean, they're making lots. Are we still subsidizing at that point?
No.
Right, so that's what I mean. What happens then with the grants?
We call FDOT and see if we can push those on us.
Okay, we'll be planning for that, okay?
We'll get an answer to that. It's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, plan big here, okay? Yep. I want you to consider that. And also on Vice Mayor's point about blackout dates. Now, what about things like when there's a boat show, or things, I'm sure when there's things like a drone show, I'm sure it's in operation, because that doesn't increase the boat traffic per se, but for like the boat show, not the boat parade rather, because when you've got boat parade traffic out there, I don't know if the
boat parade, and I should have said that. Good question, Mayor. I should have said that. Winterfest, there will be some reduction in our service during Winterfest, depending on how far it comes up. That was that 362 days when we showed the schedule. That was part of it, and I neglected to say that. So
okay.
Good question.
Great.
And Mr. Walker and I discussed that, and we'll just have to do announcements and make sure our system riders know if there are any changes due to that type of event.
Gotcha. And for any kind of special events that people wanted to book a water taxi for, I mean, if you've got 50 people from an office and they want to have an office party and go out, I mean, they can just contact the water taxi folks. That's not through us per se. That would be direct with them, right?
It would be a charter through him, and Mr. Walker's financial team put charters, concessions in those revenue lines. So if it's in Pompano, that goes toward our account. That's part of the
Pompano or Lighthouse Point. Yep. So in the Pompano line.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's called the Pompano system, but line.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. No, that's great job. Thank you for getting it here. I hope it surpasses all of our expectations, and it is another feather in the cap for Pompano Beach, and it's great. I mean, and it's a very affordable way for folks who live in Pompano Beach or are visiting just to go for a boat ride, and that's really what it's about. I mean, I know it's transportation. It really is transportation, because, yeah, I can imagine somebody who works at a waterfront restaurant who lives in Pompano but takes the water taxi. I mean, I can see that happening. But also, just for pleasure, it's a nice opportunity for folks who just want to go for a boat ride and they don't have a boat. There's a lot of people in Pompano and outside of Pompano who don't have who aren't fortunate enough to live on the water, and this gives them a viable economic option, which is really great. So fantastic, great job. Thank you, Earl, and everybody involved, and the water taxi folks. It's long overdue. Thank you.
And Mayor, just if I could follow up
Sure.
on that, with the connectivity you're talking about and the transportation element of it, we have to keep in mind our circuit now connects with Lauderdale by the Sea. So by water or land, we're connecting with these cities in the region. So.
Yeah, well, as I envision a day, we'll have circuit going out to the live entertainment district and picking people up there and picking people up in Palm Air and taking them to the water taxi stop and all kinds of neat stuff. Yeah, that's Pompano Beach. We're planning. Very good. Further commission discussion. Commissioner Fournier.
Quick question. Is Lighthouse Point or Lauderdale by the Sea chipping in for this?
No.
Thank you.
Very good.
But what we wanted to do, like we said, we looked at this and we banked on that's just more riders in our system. Lauderdale by the Sea worked with us closely on one of the dock spaces on private property to help make that dock a reality. And that was the connection point into the Fort Lauderdale system.
Right, which is key to making this work, but they are on board with this, though, obviously. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, they're not participating financially, but it benefits us financially to have them as destinations and drop off and things to do. It increases our ridership, which that's the key, is to make it economically feasible is the ridership. So we need places for people to go to get them to ride the water taxi.
Riders
Yep, that's exactly. Vice Mayor?
So Blue Moon is the transfer point?
We're looking at that right now.
Okay, I didn't know if it was going to be Blue Moon or Shooters is I think the next one south, right? On the Fort Lauderdale line?
O-Campers, right?
O-Campers?
Shooter, yeah.
Okay, yeah, just curious, but thank you again.
Because, yeah, more riders equals better bang for the buck for the taxpayers of the city of Pompano Beach. Commissioner Fournier.
One more question to follow up to that. So the annual pass for residents and the day pass, is that for residents of Pompano Beach or residents of Lighthouse Point? It's just Pompano Beach?
Pompano Beach residents.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Sigerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Harton?
Yes, great job. All right. Item 15 is consideration of canceling the city commission meetings of November 26th, 2024 and December 24th, 2024. This has Mr. Harrison listed as the contact person. He's not here, so we can blame him, right? You want to sub in for him?
So this is something we traditionally do every year. So
Microphone on? Microphone.
Sorry, Mayor. This is something we do every year, so we're just putting it on the record to request those changes in the meeting schedule.
Absolutely, yes. That's
Moved?
Second?
moved and seconded. All right. This is a public hearing. Any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public, yep, please come forward. Sure. Don't be shy. Just name and address for the record.
Hello, Lisa Golitz, 1340 South Ocean Boulevard. I just want to circle back to the stop at Indian Mound Park. So this park is in disarray, as I had advised our District 1 Commissioner. Our pathways through that park are cracked and there are small potholes. With the traffic from the water taxi, are those going to be repaired? It is a safety hazard.
I don't know the answer to that question, but that's thank you for bringing that up, and I'm sure Mr. Vice Mayor?
I spoke to Mr. Harrison about it and to check out Indian Mound Park and look for areas that needed attention.
It's being evaluated. Very good. Okay.
Thank
But yeah,
you.
thank you. Any public input on the canceling of the city commission meetings? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Okay, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Sigerson-Eaton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGee?
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Harton?
Yes, that takes us up to additional audience to be heard. So now we can hear the folks that couldn't be heard earlier.
Yes, two remaining speakers. First speaker, Audrey Fizit. Audrey Fizit.
Next.
Going once. Audrey Fizit, if you're in the building, come forward.
Okay.
Okay. Next speaker, David Hall.
Just name and address for the record, and you've got 3 minutes. No more. I'm strict.
A man of few words.
I don't know about that.
David Hall, 290 Southeast 8th Court. I will say first, to go back to the 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock meetings that are set out. I was on your Zoom on Sunday, and you brought it up and made some remarks that they're not well attended, the 1 o'clocks. But I recall the reason you went to the 2 staggered difference, because people whined and cried about just 2 6 o'clocks. So you accommodated folks to go to a 1 o'clock and a 6 o'clock, which makes sense. But as you can see, not many people care about much that goes on in the city because no one talks about anything other than their one little speck that it affects their life, and off they go. They don't care about the broader aspects of the city. Anyway, about Duet. My kids went to Living Water Surf School right at 16th, many, many years, love it. When I first moved to Pompano Beach, I lived in a condo. We owned a condo on the ocean. It was fantastic. I love everything about the beach. I love everything that we've done in the beach area. And listen, they bought the land. They can do what they want with the land. If they're going to throw in some dough to help us with the park, we're never going to give them the park. I personally would never want to give any of our land away, and that includes access on the beach. If you get someone who they put cabanas out there or something like that, I think that should be 100% made that the public can go there. I don't care that it's Duet in front of them, their cabanas, that we have to be able to, south access to the beach, north access to the beach, should be able to go on the beach. They shouldn't be able to say one word to us. They throw in the dough for the cafe. Everyone should be able to use it, 100%. If that's not going to be the case, as pro as I am about everything in Pompano, you will hear me come up here and rail against it and call you all kinds of stuff like one person who isn't here tonight that goes mental. I'll take a page out of his book. But anyway, I will say the irony was not lost on me. Everyone's complaining about we can't give away land. They can't have it. It can't be restricted from the citizens of Pompano Beach. But I will say there's someone who is a kite surfer that will admonish you if you try to park there if you're not a kite surfer, because that's their spots. I also heard from the kite surfers, and some of them who do not live in the city of Pompano Beach, so I would like you to take all of the feedback that comes from folks that come up here to speak, but sort of discount the folks that don't live here because Pompano first, and our dollars matter more than other people who don't live here. But the irony was not lost when they said, we don't want to lose the 150 feet of our beach, but yet they have a problem with Duet being our beach. It's not your beach, kite surfers. If I want to put my chair in the middle of your area, it's not law that I can't put it there. I can put it there because it's our beach as citizens. So I just want to keep that in mind and make sure we're not hypocritical.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Next speaker.
That concludes it, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you for waiting. Appreciate that. All right. Next scheduled meetings, we've got November 12th, 2024 at 1 p.m., regular City Commission meeting, followed by December 10th, 2024 at 1 p.m., a regular City Commission meeting. That takes us up to reports. Mr. Bosworth, filling in for Mr. Harrison.
Mr. Mayor, before reports, can I ask to have Ms. Sybil come down? We want to correct some comments and clarify for the record some comments that were made about the bond funding.
Okay.
I'd be able to call
Sure.
Ms. Sybil down there.
Absolutely. You need to correct something? Let's do it, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Suzette Sybil, Assistant City Manager. There was a comment.
Before, is this something just clarifying comments, or is it something we should reopen the item for?
No, it's not reopening the item.
Okay.
It's just a comment that was made. There was a comment made about the Go Bond reporting on the website, and there was a July report. So the report is accurate. And just to go back and to reflect on the historical and the lighting project, when we initially initiated the Go Bond, the lighting conversion project, funding was put aside for Collier City specifically. We ended up completing that project under budget, so we extended the leftover GO bond funds to additional lighting improvements, Highlands, Crest Haven, et cetera. We've expended 100% of those funds as of summer. We do have additional lighting projects on the way that are not GO bond funded. They're currently programmed within our 5-year capital improvement plan. So I did want to correct the record. You know, I get very touchy when people start to talk about trust and reporting and bonding, especially when it was said relevant to the water and sewer bonds that we're about to issue. So I think it was important to correct the record. So thank you for your time.
Very good. Appreciate you doing that. Yeah, I knew that when those comments were made, that because we took the advantage of that process when we started the GeoBond lighting projects. We went ahead and did the photometric study throughout the city, and that's what dictated and guided us as far as additional streetlights throughout the city wherever they're needed and necessary and wanted, which it's just about everybody wants them, but not everybody, obviously, just like sidewalks. Been there, done that. All right, so you go ahead and continue.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for that. So if you thought water taxi was exciting, we have something to show you here during Mr. Harrison's report. Sandra King's strategic communications section has worked hard to complete the new downtown website. It's up live and running. Ms. King's here. She's going to give you a quick review of it.
Okay.
I didn't plan on speaking, but that's okay. Sandra King, Strategic Communications Administrator. So we have been working several months on this website. It's completely redesigned. We've got information on there, frequently asked questions. We've got several spots where people can write in and ask questions, places where people can sign up to get information, newsletters. It's all on there, and we're inviting people to go there. It's also on the homepage of our website. But if you wanted to go directly there, it's downtownpompanobeach.org.
Very cool. That's great. Thank you for that. downtownpompanobeach.org. And it's also on the homepage of the city website. Very good. You got all the stats, all the numbers, all the pictures, and there is a way that people can actually ask additional questions. Okay. Sign up for emails. Very good. Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Concludes my report.
All right, very good. Appreciate that. Just good stuff. Good stuff. Mr. Berman, City Attorney.
I don't have a website. I have no report. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Alfred, City Clerk.
Just going to make an announcement. Notice is hereby given that the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, will hold a general election on Tuesday, November 5th, for the purpose of electing a mayor at large for a 4-year term and four city commissioners, one from each districts of 1, 3, 4, 5 for a 2-year term. Also, at the upcoming election, Pompano Beach voters will have the opportunity to vote on 3 ballot questions concerning the city charter. These proposed charter amendments would modify the charter by addressing inconsistencies in provisions related to the ordinances and resolutions, aligning them with state law, and allowing more flexibility in conducting city business. Yesterday, October 21st, was the first day of early voting, and it will run through November 3rd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the E. Pat Larkin Center and Emmylou Olson Center. On Election Day, these locations will no longer be voting sites. Voters will have to go to the designated voting precincts to cast their vote. For information regarding designated voting precincts, please visit the Broward County Supervisor of Elections webpage at browardvotes.gov. The final day to request a vote-by-mail ballot for the general election is Thursday, October 24th. Those in possession of vote-by-mail ballots have the option to deliver it delivered to early voting sites instead of relying on postal mail services. You can still send it to the postal cell, but you can actually bring it in person to the early voting sites. However, on November 4th and November 5th, the E. Pat Larkin Center will be the designated drop-off location for vote-by-mail ballots if you so wish to deliver it in person. That concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you for that, Mr. Alfred. Question.
Yes, sir.
Just for those who are running for office. When is the actual swearing in for the victors?
November 19th, if obviously upon receipt of the official voting results from the Supervisor of Elections Office, November 19th at noon.
Right, at noon on the 19th, unless, I mean, God forbid, something happens with the Supervisor of Elections Office, they can't give us the certified results, then we'll punt. But in the meantime, we're hoping it's going to be November 19th at noon for swearing in. Commissioner Moss.
Just so I understand that, up until the 19th, I am a lame duck, but not a dead duck. Is that right?
Sorry, buddy, you still got to come to meetings.
But, so I'm officially a commissioner up until the 19th?
The 19th, correct.
Okay, I
yes.
just wanted to make that sure. Just find out. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Berman.
Mayor, I just want to point out, I'll be in a mediation, a multi-party mediation all day on the 19th, and Deputy City Attorney will be here in my place. So, thank you.
Very good. Also, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that once an individual is declared a victor in the election, they then are governed by sunshine. Is that correct?
You are astutely correct on that point. So, I in the past have actually called winners and let them know that as well. So, but it's a great point. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. So everybody who's running for office needs to bear that in mind. If they are successful in their quest, they are then subject to the Sunshine Law like all of us who are already elected. Very good. Thank you for that.
And ducks too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, even ducks too. Yeah, we know. Very good. That takes us up City Commissioner. Commissioner Fournier.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that update, Kervin. I think one thing you said was that after early voting, the Pat Larkins and Emma Lou will cease to be voting sites, but Emma Lou actually is a voting site on Election Day also. So Emma Lou will be a precinct on Election Day still.
Thank you for that correction.
There have been some changes to precincts locations in the city, so people should go on the SOE website and check your voting location because it has changed for some people. A couple other things. I just want to thank the city for their collective effort in preparing us for Hurricane Milton. We were spared, but we were ready. So thank you for the hours of giving out sandbags and everyone at the EOC and all the updates, preparing us and making sure we were ready if something had happened here. As a result of Hurricane Milton, the household hazardous waste event that was scheduled in Pompano Beach on October 12th was canceled, but it has been rescheduled for November 2nd. So we didn't lose the one in Pompano Beach. It has just been rescheduled from October 12th to November 2nd, same location. And then I support all of our youth sports here in Pompano Beach, and I wanted to mention that we are in the middle of soccer signups right now. Soccer will start in November for the co-ed soccer for the kids. The signups end October 31st, so you have another week or so to sign your kids up for soccer, and we are in need of coaches. So if you're on the fence about coaching or signing your kids up, do both, because it's fun to get out there with the kids. Thank you very much.
Very good. Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On October 24th, we're going to have a Clean Streets project in the Collier City Esquire Lakes neighborhood. So I'll be letting the Collier City Civic Association know about that, but anybody who's listening that lives in that neighborhood, please make note of it. Also, I want to thank the city for programming the upcoming music festivals in Palmyra. The first one's November 2, is that right? Very, very popular. I think the last one you did, you had 400 people, something, 500? Wow. Really very, very popular. So thank you for getting that programmed. And I'm sure it'll be a very big success as it has been in past years. And other than that, I just encourage everyone to please go out and vote. And remember, not only is it your right, but it's your responsibility. That'll do it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have a couple things. Horses and Hounds Costume Contest is this Sunday, the 27th, out at the Sand and Spurs Equestrian Park, right to the north of the blimp base. I don't have the address handy, but it is from 11 till 3. And it was a great time last year. We'll have a bounce house out there. That is for a cost, but there'll be food vendors. You can see horses dressed up in costumes. Bring your dog. Your dog can be dressed up. We'll have a contest for the best costume. And it's great fun. It's a great place to be. And so I just want to remind everyone about that. You can find it on the city's website for more details. Also, I encourage everyone to vote. And as I have said, I've been very open. Vote yes on our 3 charter amendments. They're meant to bring the city up into the 21st century, really, and come up with the times. Take words that are no longer relevant and obsolete according to state law. So there's obviously more information on our website with that, but I wanted to mention that. And of course, go out and vote early or on Election Day. And I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween and safe Halloween. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to give a shout out. I've been meeting with a lot of the condo HOA boards and Building and Grounds and Public Works. You guys have come up a couple different times saying what a great job you're doing on the beach parks and in general all along that area. The residents notice, and I wanted to relay their thanks and just keeping on top of it. So great job. Other than that, happy Halloween. Be safe out there. It gets darker earlier and earlier. Make sure you're visible and looking both ways before you cross streets. We don't want to have anything bad happen. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I just got one thing really, and it's I was at the groundbreaking this past week? I guess it was, or last week it was, for Salado over on the 305 Briney. And I was talking with the folks over there who were part of the project and all that, and I had one gentleman who's part of the project. He came up to me and unsolicited, he introduced himself, but he wanted to talk to me, and he wanted to just express how great it was to work with Mike Rada and the building department in the city of Pompano Beach. And it's a fairly major project. I mean, it's not a 200-floor skyscraper in New York City, but it's not just a room addition. And it's nice to get unsolicited comments like that from folks in the development community about what we're doing in the city of Pompano Beach. And I just want to say thank you to staff, Mike Rada, and everyone else. Great job. So keep up the good work. Otherwise, we'll do something different. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Be safe. Halloween.